Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be back. Today, I have a fellow economist, a young professor of economics with us. I'm sure we'll learn a lot from her. Right now, we have with us Megha Jacob. Let's listen to her. Over to you, Megha.
Thank you, Professor. A very good evening to all. This is firstly, it's a great platform and get motivated or even from hearing others' experiences. So I hope that my session with Sir today would actually help others also to probably connect with their journey. So firstly, I'm Megha Jacob. I'm working as an assistant professor in the Department of Economics at Jesus and Mary College, University of Delhi. I am also pursuing my PhD in health economics from TERI School of Advanced Studies, Delhi. I completed my master's from Madras, and before that, my undergraduation from Sri Venkateshwara College, University of Delhi. I did my schooling also from Delhi, Loreto Convent. I'm a trained Bharatanatyam dancer. Just to speak about my non-academic activities, I have a diploma in Bharatanatyam. I'm also a singer and a zonal level debater. I consider myself as primarily a teacher and a policy researcher. So today I would like to speak on how I became an academician, because both my parents are academicians, and ever since I was a little girl, I used to see them doing research. My mother is a chemist. She also teaches in Delhi University. She's a professor in chemistry. My father is an economist. He was associated with UNIDO for good 20 years, and now he is heading AFPRO, which is also an action-oriented research institution. My younger sister is an ophthalmologist. She's in her third year of her MS. So I mean, for me, to get into academics was really my idea, because I always felt, I mean, I think that's how children are. They do not want to be like their parents all the time. So I always wanted to become an IAS officer. And that's because I used to go with my father to all these seminars ever since I was a kid. I used to see several, because my father was mainly into policy-oriented research. So I used to meet, I have met Nirupama Rao at a very young age. I was so motivated by the way she spoke as an IFS officer. She was an ambassador of India to the US and so forth. So I was always fascinated by powerful women who made, they were examples for me of great power in terms of how they move forth in a world that always seemed to be a male dominated society. That was my purview. But I was very fascinated by women in these areas of governance and so on and so forth. So that's, and in school, I got the opportunity, which I'm really grateful, to meet Sunita Williams. She was back from space. So I thought I also want to do something a lot for women. If I become an IAS officer, I'll be able to. I just never pictured myself working at a higher level, but maybe just at local government level. That is basically at the district level, where I could help women get basic education and even go in for higher education, menstrual hygiene, and several other aspects which I had in my mind. And I did put in 2 years of my life into it, but the later parts I couldn't make it to the list. And what is interesting is eventually it all led to the area that I never thought I would be, that is getting into academics, being a teacher. I mean, I was always fascinated by teaching. My friends used to say, amazing teacher, because just before our exams and masters and so on and so forth, we used to sit and revise. I used to love teaching concepts. Because my parents were in academics, it was a big no for me. And I think that's what life does. What you did not want, whatever you run away from, that comes to you if it is meant for you. I honestly believe that. So all my hard work that I had put in today led me into what I truly love. I fell in love journey. That is my journey from Madras School of Economics, where I got some amazing teachers, and from there to my experience in GZ Mary College in Delhi University, where while I was teaching students, I think teaching is a good, it's a wonderful profession where you connect with students, where their doubts and queries really motivate you into learning more and reading more. Because econ in general, it's usually, actually it's not. So that's why my preparation for UPSC, where I dwelled into several other disciplines in social sciences, that really helped me. And regular newspaper reading almost on a daily basis, 1 or 2 newspapers, that actually helped me to figure out all the math and quant I had studied, where it fits in. So that's why I call myself as an accidental academician who is now a policy researcher. It was a very, I feel that process molded me into becoming a better academician, and that's why I was able to figure out when I had to do my PhD. I did my PhD, I got into a program when I felt I really wanted to do. So it was a journey. It's a very beautiful journey, and through this platform I want to tell students and youngsters who are I've seen across my 8 to 9 years of teaching experience how a lot of students, they are on the fence line to figure out whether they want to do econ. They have the money university and are probably going abroad, but they're very scared of this. Let me tell you, it's not all math, econometrics, game theory, these are all tools which help you to understand economics as a discipline. It's a beautiful discipline. It's very multidisciplinary in nature if you genuinely look into it. That's why this year's Nobel Prize also is a clear testimony about how the role of institutions have played into being. So it's wonderful if you follow this journey. Um, Regarding my PhD, I'm, like I said, I'm pursuing my PhD on at TERI School of Advanced Studies, Delhi, where I'm focusing on the role of local government institutions in providing health services, with a special focus on the state of Kerala. Now, why the state of Kerala? Usually, we've heard about the Kerala model, and it's often stated that Kerala is the, and actually it's true when you go deep inside. Like, I've done primary surveys since 2015. I've worked on projects earlier also with the Ministry of Panchayati Raj, where if you go inside, you will actually see the healthcare system in Kerala is very different from a lot of other states. And that's primarily because of this collaborative governance, where you see the states and the local government, they work hand in hand. And Kerala is a perfect example of that because it has one of the strongest local government institutions in India, and also its health services better, especially I'm talking about the public health services. So that's why I was very keen when I saw in 2020 the pandemic, we saw the first wave, second wave. I realized that this is the area that I really want to explore, and there's very limited work that has happened in this area. So my secondary data analysis is done. Now I'm actually in my primary survey stage, where so yeah, I mean, it's really nice to see what is happening at as a district collector. I figured that I went deep inside and see, as a researcher, what can I do in the same area. Still hygiene. I'm now working. So yeah, somewhere we dream something, and even if I'm able to contribute a limited amount, this area, I feel I have sort of reached where I wanted to reach in my career. Uh, so that's about it. Now, so like I said, academics as a career in economics, especially, there's this huge misconception. And I feel today the NEP, which is the National Education Policy of 2020, which the government has introduced, we love to speak about the cons, but there are also pros to it. As a teacher, that I've seen is that not just for students, even faculty members, we are now exploring several areas as economists we never explored, like which innovation and entrepreneurship, finance for all. These are borderlines with commerce discipline, but it's interesting how when you go through the course to teach students of not just econ or commerce, to students of Hindi, Sanskrit, history, you realize that you all knew all of this. You were trained to teach these papers, but it was never really told to us that this is core econ. That's why I'm saying economics is highly diversified. That's why it's a beautiful into. If you're somebody who's very critical about socioeconomic issues and you have slight bent towards mathematics, but like I said, mathematics is again just a tool. You can always learn. It's just a process. You can always open any of the basic math books and just dwell into those tools. And so is econometrics. Then the NEP also helps us to go into multidisciplinarity. So earlier, before NEP came in at the undergrad level in Delhi University, we used to have something called program courses. BA program in economic math. I'm just speaking about economics. It's put into other disciplines as well. So that used to be, we used to have papers which were very generic. Econ papers which were very general, like introductory macro, introductory micro, Indian economy, money and banking. But now in NEP, that program part has been removed. It has become multidisciplinary. Students are now learning highly advanced mathematical papers. So there's a paper that I teach, optimization methods for economics. And they have we use CHAMP, which is a harder book than what we use for honors, that is Hammond. So what I'm trying to say is, because of this NEP, students are getting more exposure, more number of students. Just because in class 12 maybe they lost by 1 or 2 marks their entry into economics honors, that is not happening now. Now more students can learn hardcore core econ, and they can explore, because I feel that undergrad level is very different from what economics have studied at school level. So only when you get exposure, you will realize whether you want a journey, because economics is a discipline that not just pertains to academics. It helps you to go into finance, into corporate, into, like, you want to prepare for civil services, that is also there, banking, so many sectors are there. So I think that's the beauty of NEP. It gives students, even those who are doing GE, general elective in economics from other disciplines, they are also able to choose rigorous papers in econ. Then another beautiful thing that I've seen in the recent years is that now more emphasis is happening on internships, research comes, where students can, they're not just not everybody can get into academics or into they want to get into corporate world. Some may want to go into NGOs and so on and so forth. So that's the beauty about how undergrad programs are now structured in Delhi University and other government, central and state government universities across India. But like I said, there's always 2 sides to a coin. Whenever there's a change, it doesn't happen beautifully. The transition takes time. So one issue is that semester is very compact for both students and teachers. But overall, our course curriculum is now aligned with international standards. We've had a 4-year undergrad program with a research component. And like I said, the Vedas also says whenever there's a change, you got to accept it. And then you've got to prepare yourself to phase the best out of that change. And you've got to use it to your advantage. And that's what our students are doing. So yeah, I feel that over time, what has happened in academics, especially in Delhi University, is that a lot of our students are entering into econ. They are exploring various avenues, and some of them are moving out and doing a PhD abroad. I've had some students who are just BA program students. Why I say just is because they didn't have a lot of exposure towards quantitative papers. And they put in a lot of effort. We teachers also help them out. And today they're doing really well in their PhD program. Some are also program, and they are about to submit, and they're really enjoying their experience in econ. So that's what I have felt in my journey, that it's academics is something where you grow over time. And I feel I've been very lucky to be able to get this opportunity to learn to enjoy economics and to learn to actually get into do research and learn the art of research. And that's where my PhD program, my coursework really helped me. So one turning point was my UPSC preparation, and the other was my teaching, and my third that is me getting into Delhi University, where I learned a lot. But my third and major turning point was my coursework, where I got some amazing faculty members who were into in fact during our time in 2020 they had introduced methodology was compulsory, so such papers and a lot of training in writing and analyzing it. So analyzing data comes naturally for econ people, but how do you construct it? How are you able to put it in that entire process of analyzing a research problem to be able to conceptual? So all of that was very well the course for me, and that really helped me as a teacher also while I make my each class my lessons that sort of. So I feel that research daily research the research process that goes on for an academician is, you can't just separate research from teaching. At least that has been my experience. Both go hand in hand and they complement each other. So I think that's the beauty of it. And I really hope that those who are listening and those who have been on the fence line of whether to pursue, because I've seen a lot of my students have also, now we're very scared to explore beyond it because we feel that probably it will get moved. So I keep telling them that no, this is not what it is. If you are not sure about going in for hardcore economics, you always have interdisciplinary parts. So do a PhD in other avenues and you can always contribute towards academia. If you're somebody who loves to read, who would love to write, and because once you're an academician, you always keep thinking. So that's the beauty about academics, and it's a wonderful field to get into. I would now, if you wanted to be an IAS officer, if I could go back to time and make a decision without a single moment, I would say I want to continue with this journey. I really want to repeat this journey of being an academician, of being a teacher and a researcher. So yes, Professor, this was what I wanted to share.
Well, that's wonderful to hear that the DU economics curriculum is updated and is now up to world-class standards. So you say, okay, wonderful. That's very good to hear. And I'm so glad to hear. I'm just curious, the health economics, why TERI? TERI was originally energy. So how come they have in health?
So, Professor, we've had now, over the last 4-5 years, we've had some good faculty members who are into, like I started with my supervisor is Professor Sukanya Das, who is into environment and health. Okay. Then I had Professor Chandan Kumar, and from Delhi School of Economics, Dr. Priyanka. So they are all health economists. So they've had over the last 6-7 years a good number of teachers who are into econ. And to be honest, when I had initially got into Delhi University, we had this thing of ad hocism. And at that point of time, I had applied to both JNU and TERI. And JNU had this thing of signing in on a regular basis. So since I was working, I didn't want to back then leave my job, because I always I always wanted to do my PhD along with my teaching. I was very clear about that right from the beginning. So I chose the next best. So I went in for that. And my husband is also from Delhi School of Economics. He completed his PhD in D school, and he had initially done his master's and his undergrad from Stephens and master's from TERI. So he told me that TERI has a good base in econ. And Megha, if you really have to go in for something where help and support, so this is definitely
okay. All right. So
place to be, Professor.
TERI has broadened its offerings beyond energy and
Yes.
environment to include health. Okay. And let me ask, if when you get your PhD, what do you expect to do? You continue to teach where you are or something else?
Professor, I said, I evolve with time. I want to teach for sure. And JMC being the first place, Delhi University, JMC, and I've seen there a mix of students. Like I said, my husband is from Econ, from Delhi school, and he's teaching in OP Jindal. And so that's slightly, it has a private orientation. I want to be in the public institution field where I feel that I also have students of, students who, I've seen students who cannot pay their fees per semester. So, and they really want to learn. They really want to learn. So I feel it's better that we sort of we split ourselves in a way where he loves to do research and he loves to get into that academics field. And I really wanted, like I said, I had a passion. My passion was to reach out as a young girl, to reach out to young women. And I think that is what I'm doing in JMC. I hope I'm doing that in JMC. Only my principal can speak about that. But so I'm able to reach out to women, young
Okay, all right.
girls.
That's wonderful.
From all income streams.
Yeah.
Yes, Professor.
So any tips you have
Thank
for
you.
young people? You teach so many of them. Maybe there are some students in class 11 and 12 that you can give some tips to.
I mean, from my limited exposure, I have also been in that area where we had lots of dreams and aspirations. I think hold on to it. It's never wrong. I mean, it's never late. You aim for the space, the sun, you will definitely land. That in today's world, including my own undergrad students also, they're very tensed all the time. Everybody wants to go to IMF, World Bank. Professor, you won't believe when we have something called in our college, beautiful thing called mentor work sessions where we speak to our students. We have one allotted to speak as we divide our classes in a way where we can reach out to our students as well. And some of them, they have very high aspirations, and sometimes if they're not able to reach that, they become very disappointed. They go into depression. So I would say either you're in class 11, 12 or undergrad, just work hard. You will reach somewhere in life. You just have to be systematic, passionate about what you do. And especially those who are very scared of math, just practice, watch videos. There are so many things you can always explore. And I've once heard you also say in one of the Bitpets that you love to explore, you love changes. And I think that is what needs. We need to be able to explore. We need to be adapted. We should be adaptive to changes, because if you're rigid, you're stuck in that permanency. So we should adapt. And I think that is something that our youngsters can definitely do. And it'll be wonderful. Everybody, they will be able to come out of it. So that's all that I could share, Professor.
Yeah, I share that view. Today's world anyway is changing so fast that you cannot be stuck in the past. Long ago it was possible, but today the future is changing all the time. So you have to adapt all the time. So that I think has to be clear to all people that you need change. You need a constant plan B and plan C and keep changing. All right, good. Anything else you want to add here?
Professor, we've also seen a lot of econ students getting into entrepreneurship. So some of my ex-students, they are now running companies, So I feel like if you're somebody who's not into academics, don't worry, you have so many options. So econ is just a discipline which will help you to think. It increases your critical thinking. That is it. Use it to your advantage. So that's all, Professor.
Yeah, I think
I wanted to end with.
At the undergraduate level, all college is about thinking. It's not about the subject matter itself. It's about thinking for yourself and thinking how to organize your ideas. And, also in a place like DU, getting to meet all kinds of people from India and doing some internships, getting some experience and all. So DU students are very lucky that they have all these facilities and options. So that's what it is about. Just talking to somebody, and I think now I summarized for him 4 ways he's learning at DU. 1, class, fine. 2, friends from all over India, it's fine. 3rd, internships, that's fine. And 4th, interactions with various people through various conferences, which you are able to get through LinkedIn and some such thing. So you really have 4 channels to broaden yourself and to learn and to explore. I think it's very good. Okay,
Yes,
so
Professor.
anything else
And
you
this is
want
a
to add
wonderful
here?
platform that you're providing.
Well, okay, we
You,
don't
Professor.
have
I
to.
mean,
Okay, anything else you want to add here?
um, the reason why I decided to speak about my journey, like I said, it wasn't planned. This wasn't planned, and I feel sometimes it's okay to not plan. What you plan, you may not get, but you will get something better. And I think that's what, even when I went through your LinkedIn, Professor, I saw that you just kept taking on whatever kept coming in your way. You set your base, and from there you just continued. So I think that's what uh, students need. That is what we all need. We really should go with the wind, have our base set, but go with the wind.
Well,
So
for me, it's
yes,
more
Professor.
than that.
And PhD is not a PhD. Yes, Professor.
For me, it's like, why should I be a prisoner of my yesterday's thinking? I make a plan for today based on yesterday. I wake up today and said, hey, do I really want to be a prisoner of my yesterday's thinking? Why don't I think today? And so for me, it has always been like that.
Very true. Very true, Professor.
It started way back in class 9 when, in this, they teach you this essay writing, and let's say you have to make an outline, and I would never make one. I just write it. And, the teachers gave up. They said, why do you need an outline? Because that means you have to think what you're going to write before you write. Why don't you write as you go along? So, of course, very few people want to do that. They want to have a plan. They want to have a structure. But for me, I said, look, I don't even know what my next paragraph will be till I finish this paragraph. So why should I plan something which I know will not work? Chances are it won't work. So anyway, for me, it has always been like that, to take advantage of of course, you have to have the base. You have to be credible to people. You can't just show up. You have to be credible. So you have to have that base. You have to have that skill set. But after that, then you can be very flexible. So I agree with that, right? I mean, and this channel itself, there was no plan for it. It just happened. The reason it happened is because we all shifted from text to video thanks to the pandemic. Before that, people of my generation, we were in text, right? We write something, whether in email or in reports or something, but we were never used to do video, right? But then the pandemic made us familiar with the video, and everybody got video. And so the opportunity came that now you can do a channel in which the young people will speak. But the precondition was that even I had become familiar with video. Right? And that was only because of the pandemic, where your only thing was Zoom calls with friends and family. So the pandemic gave us that opportunity, that now you can do a video channel. The rest you can think what kind of video channel, but at least before the pandemic, there was never a possible thought in my mind we can do a video
That's
channel.
possible.
So I think, there's a negative thing, pandemic, but you react to it in one way and you get a positive outcome. Okay, anything
I
else?
just have one question.
Yeah.
What was your journey? Yes, Professor, I just have one. I'm just curious to know, how did you get into econ? I know
Okay.
you
All
got
right.
into MIT, but how did you get into econ?
Well, first of all, from my mother's side, everybody was doctor, engineer. Okay, so that was, they didn't stray from that mold. Okay, but from my father's side, my father had an MA in history, so it was not science and engineering only. And then, I have several siblings, and my oldest brother was several years ahead of me, and he had done an MA in economics. At that time, in Jaipur, it was not just economics, it was economics and public administration. Okay, so he had done an MA in economics and public administration. So it was not a big deal in the family to study economics. My older brother, he had also done a BA, he had started his BA in economics. So it was not like a revolutionary thing. Why are you doing economics? Okay, fine. My father would have always thought, why don't you do history? If you're going to not do science and engineering, you might as well do history, because that was his field. So it was not a big deal to do economics as such in the family. And also, we used to live, Jaipur, small city. You tend to know what's happening in it. And the econ department of the university was quite well known in a sense. And one year, what happened was that, well, it's President Kennedy's wife, Jackie Kennedy, decided to come to Jaipur and go on that elephant ride. There's a famous elephant ride in Amer Fort, and she wanted to have that elephant ride. So she was going to come to India. She came to India. At that time, Professor Galbraith was the US ambassador to India. He was a professor of Harvard at that time, and he had been appointed as the US ambassador to India. It's 1963. I was old enough to know some things happening. So when he was to accompany her to Jaipur, he said, okay, I'm going there. I'll give a talk at the University Department of Economics. Why not? So he gave a talk there. So it was big news in the city, that, wow. I mean, we were school children, but still, nothing much used to happen in the city. So this was a major event. Wow, a professor from Harvard is coming to Jaipur. We are great, we must be great. So, okay, fine. This is a great subject. We can do it ourselves. After all, if it's a lousy university, he would not agree to give a talk. So, some self-pride, some knowledge, So I said, fine. So econ is a great thing. Okay, fine. So you can do it. So I really didn't want to go into IIT, partly because, they teach. I thought, when I did chemistry in high school, and you have to do all those things in the labs. It turned out I'm colorblind. And so I couldn't see the damn things, that, oh, is it pink or red? I said, what is it? I have no idea. So I couldn't do well in that subject. So I thought maybe if I stick to science, I have to do chemistry, then I'll be stuck with this inherent problem that, like a teacher once told me, sir, Subodh, what are you doing? It's dark red. It's supposed to stop at pink. I said, sir, I have no idea what color it is right now. Because I was not totally colorblind, but I'm, unable to distinguish between shades. So that science was ruled out, and engineering also. I thought, wow, God alone knows what I'll have to do in the engineering labs and all. And anyway, it was all right to do econ, political science, history in my family. It was fine. There's no issue. One of my sisters did history. So I just, and econ was prestigious even at that time. It was top choice in every, let us say, among those people who wanted to do arts, it was a top choice. And you could get jobs with it. Of course, if you wanted to go into IAS and all, then econ was not your favorite subject. You had to do political science or history and so on. But I thought, what's the big deal? Even with econ, I can get in. It will broaden my, I mean, get in meaning lucky. But anyway, so that was it. So you did econ and the marks were good and so on. So it was fine. There was, you didn't have that many choices at that time. So you were pretty much in a groove once you got in. You couldn't really change that much, you were in a groove and that was it, your path. Life was, as I say, safe and linear. You are pre-identified. Okay, now you are in economics, you better stay.
Now
Can't change. So fine, why
completely
change?
non-linear. Now it's
Pardon?
highly non-linear.
Now it's a non-linear and risk-taking.
Now it's non-linear.
Yeah, now it's non-linear. So it was like that.
Risk-taking.
And it was working well. I mean, of course, after my MA, I had three choices, to be honest, none of which was certain. One, to get into PhD at a top university. Number two, to do UPSC. And number three, to be a writer. And there were risks with being a writer because you could never decide whether you were really good. How would you know? And then it'll work. Anyway, so that was the choice. And if I didn't get into a good university, I would do UPSC. Those days, very few people took coaching classes. Okay, you just studied on your own. Okay, that was not a big deal.
Actually, it's not needed also. It's not
there were
needed.
coaching classes
really
even
not
back
needed.
then. There were coaching classes, but it was not like today where you have to have it. It was okay. You could do it yourself. As it happened, the admission did come. So that ended the three-choice plan. And of course, my parents would have been happy if I had done UPSC. I would have been perhaps happy too. And if I didn't get in there, then I would have to be a writer, which I don't know how good I was at. But anyway, that was it. Okay, so that's the answer to your question.
That's lovely to know, Professor. Yeah. Your story.
But after that, you are in a groove, you just are an economist. So you're an economist, you keep doing it. And unless you really hate it, then you can try to do something else. But I didn't come to that at all. It was quite comfortable and quite useful and productive. And I do enjoy it. And let me end by saying that I'm, in 23 years ago, I wrote a book, India 2047. And that was my effort to identify the key constraints to becoming a well-off country by 2047. It wasn't about opportunities, as about the constraints. That if you don't remove these constraints in the next 10 to 15 years, you don't have the possibility of expanding because your constraints obviously constrain, right? So now, last year, I wrote 10 goals for India 2047. Okay, I called them non-official development goals. And I did make some presentations to various colleges and all about them. And now I've decided to take the old material, cut it down some from the old book, because that was a little bit more analytical rather than just policy oriented, and merge it with the 10 goals that are my goals, and put a manifesto which says these are the 10 goals, and this is what we have to do in the various sectors to achieve these goals. So that book is now what I'm planning. The goals are already written last year, 1 year ago. Now, whether they're right or wrong, that's up to people to decide. It's a matter of discussion.
Yeah, I'm going to read that now after this.
Well, it's a one page. I'll send you the goals.
It's lovely that you shared.
I've just written I have
Yes,
a
yes.
PowerPoint also. I can send you that. But it's just the 10 goals are just, very easily written. And I will make, first thing might be to make 25 sub goals out of these 10 goals, so that you can start talking a little bit more practical. And ultimately, as you come down, you're starting from the high and coming to the practical. The lower you go in the chain of causation and analysis, you are looking
Our
at.
SDGs are coming to an end.
Pardon?
Yeah.
So
Our
that's,
SDGs, Sustainable Development
yeah,
Goals,
the Sustainable Development Goals.
are coming to an end in 2030.
Yeah, so, we grew up with the Millennium Development Goals, 2015, it ended. But this is only about India. It's not international. It's only about India. And so the goals can be very specific that look, yes, we are doing this in this sector and it sounds good, but what is it in the end contributing to? In the goals, which goal is this aiming to help? And I
Final
think,
outcome. That's what you're focusing on.
yeah, the outcome is in the goals. The goals are all outcomes, not outputs. They are the outcomes, and you want to know what is the outcome that you are getting from this. And it's more for young people than for peers, because the only people who will be active and alive in 2047 are the young people, not me and my peers. So, it's not aimed at them, it's aimed at the younger people. So I should have that book out next year. Okay, so keep that
Looking
lookout.
forward to it.
I'll send you the 10 goals in writing. I'll send them to you. Okay, anything else?
Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much.
All right, let's end it here.
No. It was
Thank you
wonderful.
so much, Professor Jacob. It was a pleasure to listen to you. I'll be back with another young person or an expert soon. Okay, bye, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.